December 8th, 2025, 11:15 p.m. local time. 80 kilometers off the coast of Japan's Aomori Prefecture, the seafloor fractures. A magnitude 7.5 earthquake erupts from a depth of 50 kilometers. Within minutes, tsunami warnings flash across millions of phones. This is what we saw. But what really happened in the hours and days that followed? And what does it tell us about Japan's ongoing battle with the Earth itself? Initial reports said dozens injured. The reality, as confirmed by Japan's Fire and Disaster Management Agency over the following 48 hours, was more precise but still fortunate. 47 people required medical treatment, with only 2 suffering serious injuries. The miracle, if you can call it that, was in the location and timing. The quake's offshore epicenter and significant depth absorbed some of its brute force. But the shaking was severe, reaching a lower 6 on Japan's 7-point intensity scale in parts of Aomori and Hokkaido. This meant widespread, frightening shaking, but not the top-tier destructive force that flattens buildings. The immediate disruptions were massive but controlled. Over 36,000 households lost power at the peak, primarily in Aomori and southern Hokkaido. Bullet train services on the Tohoku and Hokkaido Shinkansen lines were suspended overnight for safety inspections. Highways were closed. Yet, critically, there were no reports of major structural collapses. This wasn't luck. It was the first testament to decades of preparation. For any offshore quake in Japan, the tsunami is the primal fear. The Japan Meteorological Agency issued its major warning for Aomori and Iwate prefectures within 3 minutes. This triggered a flawless, automated system. Sirens, automated public address broadcasts, and cell phone alerts. Coastal communities, drilled for this moment, began immediate evacuations to higher ground. The waves came, but not as a monster. The largest observed tsunami was 1.2 meters, about 4 feet, in the port of Hachinohe, Aomori. Smaller waves were recorded along hundreds of kilometers of coastline. By the early morning of December 9th, all warnings were lifted. This outcome, a significant scare followed by a manageable surge, showcased the system's purpose. It's designed for the worst-case scenario, like the 2011 waves that topped 40 meters. The 2025 event was a successful real-world drill. It proved the warnings work, and more importantly, that people listened. This quake didn't come as a surprise to seismologists. It struck in one of the most geologically violent neighborhoods on Earth, the Japan Trench, where the Pacific Plate is diving beneath the Okhotsk Plate at a rate of about 9 centimeters per year. This relentless grinding builds immense stress, released in periodic jolts. The U.S. Geological Survey classified this as a thrust fault event, the kind that most effectively displaces water and generates tsunamis. While magnitude 7.5 is major, it's important context. The 2011 Tohoku quake was a magnitude 9.0, releasing over 350 times more energy. The JMA's warning of potential stronger aftershocks was based on grim statistics. In the first week, the region experienced over 200 aftershocks magnitude 3.0 or higher, with the strongest reaching 5.8. This relentless shaking frayed nerves and slowed recovery, but followed predictable seismic patterns. So why wasn't this a catastrophe? The answer is a national project that began decades ago. First, engineering. Japan's building codes, especially revised after the 1995 Kobe earthquake, are among the world's strictest. Skyscrapers are built with flexible frames and massive dampers that absorb energy. Critical infrastructure sits on base isolators, essentially giant rubber and steel shock absorbers. Second, the early warning system. Seismic sensors detected the quake's fast-moving P waves and issued public alerts 15 to 20 seconds before the more damaging S waves hit Aomori. That's enough time for factories to halt assembly lines, for surgeons to pause operations, for people to brace. Third, a culture of preparedness. From annual nationwide drills on Disaster Prevention Day to the emergency kits in every home and office, readiness is ritual. When the alert sounded on December 8th, people didn't just panic, they executed a practiced routine. This cultural infrastructure saved lives as surely as the physical infrastructure did. Beyond the statistics were human and economic stories. In Aomori, Japan's leading apple-producing region, farmers surveyed damage to orchards and storage facilities. The prefecture's prized fishing fleet saw port damage and disrupted operations. The estimated economic loss, according to a preliminary report by the Japan Center for Economic Research, ranged between significant but a fraction of 2011's $360 billion catastrophe. Psychologically, the event reopened wounds. Survivors of the 2011 disaster reported severe anxiety and trauma triggers. Evacuation centers, while orderly, were filled with the tense silence of a population all too familiar with this script. The recovery became not just about fixing pipes and power lines, but about managing the collective memory of a nation that lives on the Ring of Fire. The 2025 Aomori earthquake wasn't a catastrophe, but it was a stark reminder, that the plates beneath Japan never stop moving. A reminder that the memory of 2011 is a generation long, and most importantly, a reminder that resilience isn't an accident. It's a science, an investment, and a culture. It proved that while we cannot predict the exact moment the Earth will move, we can design a society that moves with it. The final report wasn't measured in the magnitude on a seismograph, but in the fact that after a 7.5 quake and a tsunami warning, a nation went to sleep that night with only dozens injured, ready to rebuild again at dawn.